Hey guys, it's me Seren, back with another video. So this video is going to be one that I've been meaning to make for a really long time. And it's going to be about hierarchies of racism. For this video, I'm going to use racism as my example, but really we see this play out in like all different types of isms across various systems where we basically put these hierarchies in place where certain offenses are worse than others. And it's kind of like, oh, what is the scale? What is the sliding scale of how appropriate versus how inappropriate something was? I don't know how many of you guys have been kind of following this like Harvey Weinstein case and all this talk about like sexual assault in Hollywood and of women just in general. But a lot of the times, even when we talk about like sexual assault, for example, there's like the scale. People have this like scale in mind on a scale of like catcalling to groping to rape. Like, oh, where on the scale do you fall? It's like a hierarchical structure. And when it comes to racism, we see the same thing. It's like on a scale of a burning cross on your lawn to a lynching, where do you fall? And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that. I feel like we should treat all of these things as if they have the same level of importance. We should treat all racism as racist. We should treat all sexism as sexist. There's no brownie points for being a good racist versus being a bad racist, these hierarchies of anti-blackness. I'm just gonna like stick with that example for this video. I mentioned previously that, a bunch of YouTubers recently were exposed saying the N-word. Fucking Felix PewDiePie, however you pronounce that, who's like the most followed, most subscribed YouTuber, has been caught, not even caught, like he live streamed himself like several times now, like saying the N-word. Kathleen Lights, who is like a makeup beauty guru, Snapchat N-word. Anthony Fantano, who does the Needle Drop, which is like a huge music channel, recently got exposed by Fader for having a third channel that was like a racist fucking like meme channel, basically. And it's like, all of these people just keep getting excused, that it's just jokes, that they didn't mean it, that it's being taken too seriously, that it's so horrible that they're being called racist, and that it's the biggest insult ever in the world. And I touched on this briefly in my Jamel Hill video, when we talked about the idea of, calling someone racist being worse than like them actually being a fucking racist. And I have a very old video, I will put a link in the description box for those of you that haven't seen it, where I talk about how we've made the word racist this taboo word, like Voldemort, like, shh, like don't say it, don't say his name, don't say racist, the racism that shall not be named, just that you can't say it, you can't say it. And even to compare racism and sexism, even in this point, me personally, I feel like even in this point in time, it's even more acceptable to talk about sexism than it even is to fucking talk about racism. Like, like the idea of, oh my God, you called me a racist is like so horrible. Like, people call Harvey Weinstein a rapist, and like all these like other allegations of like rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, allegations, like just all these things started coming out, and like all these like women, and I think it's of course important to note that the majority of these women are white, and as we know, whiteness gives them privilege in our society so that they can be taken seriously when they, make these statements, which we all know. I have several videos on white women and the power that they wield in their whiteness, and especially in their, they're talking about, the idea of a white woman being raped holds this like place in our society that it's even more acceptable to talk about that. And I also want to just like get a little bit more too into like this idea of like ranking acts of racism. The idea of, saying the N-word on a stream isn't real racism. Shouting out nigger during a live stream isn't real racism. And this idea that it's not real, things are not real, it falls below this scale, this ranking scale that we've like made up in our heads of like what is okay and like what is acceptable, And it's like, that's also what makes it like so quote unquote bad to like call people racist, is because again, people literally have a hierarchy of racist acts, which is just wild. Like the idea that racism is like killing someone, right? So if you haven't killed anyone, it's not real racism, you know? When I did my video about Sophia Coppola and like I wrote a piece on Medium about it, and a similar argument that I kept seeing being used over and over was like, oh, it's just a movie, so it's not real racism. It's somehow not real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have an impact. You know, when I talked about Katy Perry, like, oh, she's just eating watermelon in a music video. Like, it's not real racism, you know, for the stupid shit that like Taylor Swift says and does. And like, you know, just this idea again of like real racism, a real ism is something very serious. And if it's like not to my level of seriousness, what I think is most important and most serious, then it doesn't matter. Real racism is burning a cross on someone's lawn and stringing it up. And if you're not doing that, then you're not a real racist. And like, how dare you even say that? And like, how inappropriate that you even called somebody racist. You know, like, racism isn't Voldemort, which is literally the name of my old video. It's like, number one, racism isn't Voldemort. It's not an insult to call someone racist, especially if they did something racist. Like, you're calling them out on what they did, on their actions directly led to like what you called them. Like, this isn't a hierarchy. There is no sliding scale of racism as far as I'm concerned. We're not ranking any of these, you know, isms on a scale. How bad was it? You like that's not how it works. And people do this because they don't want to call these types of things what they are, because then they don't have to deal with it. If they can make it a little small thing, if we rank acts of racism, if we rank acts of sexism, if we go out of our way to make this hierarchy, like as if the little acts are okay and they shouldn't be called out because they're okay, then it's all fine. Then it's all good. You know, what's a little N-word on a live stream? What's a little deportation? What's a little build a wall? You know, like it's fine. It's fine. If we can rationalize in our minds that it's on this hierarchy, that it's on this scale, then it's all fine. It's all good. You know, a scale that goes from a microaggression to calling somebody, you know, nigger, to a lynching. You know, where are you on the scale? And as long as you fall below a burning cross, you're acceptable. And I just feel like, no. I fully reject that notion. There's no such thing as a little racist. There's no such thing as a little sexist. There's no such thing as a little homophobic. Even the little things, you know, even the little racist things are still racist. So call them what they are. Call them what they are, you know, like, call them what they are. Stop rationalizing it in your mind. Stop making it okay. I get so much pushback just in general about like calling things racist. Like, so much that you guys don't even know. Like, because there's just like so much talk, especially again with the idea of racism. This idea that we're like overusing. People say all the time, you guys call everything racist, you're like making the word meaningless. Like, no, the word has meaning and all these things are racist. Like, why do you have in your mind that there's like some type of quota for like racist bullshit, that there's some type of quota for like sexist bullshit, and if we use the word too much, we're gonna overuse it and it's gonna lose meaning? Like, maybe a lot of shit is actually racist and fucking sexist. Like, did you ever fucking think about that? Like, there is no quota for these things, you know? People say to me all the time, like, oh, when you call Sophia Coppola a racist, like, you're watering down the term for the real racist. And I'm just like, no, like, Sophia Coppola did something racist. That makes her a racist. Like, PewDiePie said something racist. He utilized a racial slur. It was people doing all types of, like, mental gymnastics and backflips, talking about you can use a racial slur in a way that's not racist, even if you're white. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Like, if they do some racist shit, that makes them fucking racist. If they do some sexist shit, that makes them fucking sexist. Like, that's not to insult. People take shit like, oh, you're just trying to like insult. No, like, I'm calling it out so you can maybe learn and unlearn and fix it. If you just like, again, you look at it as like Voldemort, I'm just trying to like insult you and just like say this bad word to you. Like, no, that's not how it works. Like, that's not how it works. Ain't no little bit of a racist. Ain't no little bit of a sexist as far as I'm concerned. Like, you are that thing and you need to work. If somebody calls you out on it, you need to work to unlearn it, Work to do better. And it's fine to work to do better. And using terms like racially insensitive, tone deaf, you know, all that stuff, etc., just serves as more insulation and coddling against the system of racism, white supremacy, the system of sexism, the system that pushes all these ideas about like heteronormative binaries and stuff like that. Like, it just keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing the system, and they're all excuses. And they're all fucking excuses as far as I'm concerned. All these fucking excuses. You know, oh, when you use these words too much, you're cheapening the words. Oh, these people are just a product of their time. Oh, you know, none of what she said makes it okay to call this person a racist or a sexist or a this, is that. Or like, no, like these words have meaning. And again, it's not just an insult. Like, racist is not just an insult. Being racist is an action. Racism is an action. Sexism is an action. Homophobia is an action. If you do something racist, that is action. That makes you a racist. Not kind of, sort of racist. Not just some insult that I'm calling you. The action, what you did, is what made you a racist, is what made you a sexist, is what made you a predator, is what made you those things. The action, what you did. Not what I did by calling you out. What you did. And again, there is no hierarchy. There is no real versus fake. There is no quota. There is no, oh, we're using these words too much, so they're going to lose meaning. Like, no, it's real. It exists. I don't believe in hierarchies and sliding scales on these isms. And I really do believe we have to just start like digging down deep again and doing the work within ourselves and with other people to unlearn. Because this whole society is garbage and everything has to fucking go, as I keep continuing to say over and over and over and over and fucking over again. And my computer is stuck. I don't know if you guys can like hear that noise that it's making, but it's like stuck. Wow. So just some thoughts that I've been having, that I've been thinking about for a while, but I just like haven't had the chance to like sit down and record. So of course, let me know what you guys think in the description box, in the comments. There will be links in the description box as always. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.